Alright guys, looks like I think we're going to get on the move here pretty soon. Thank you very much. Alright, let's let that truck go a little bit further. Alright. Now you can probably already tell it is a little bumpy out here, so definitely hold tight to those cameras and video cameras, guys. I am not allowed to get out of the truck and retrieve something that goes overboard. It's because the way the animals roam around. Just want to make sure you hold on tight. But since we're heading into a forest, really the only advice I can give you, just look carefully. We've been having pretty good luck, but forest animals are really good at hiding and blending in, so just kind of want to keep your eyes peeled. Oh, wow. Well, if you look over on the left, I think there's more up ahead, but the bongo kind of hiding behind the brush, they actually got the nickname the ghost of the forest. They have a color combination that just kind of plays with shadow and light. They can be a little tough to find at times. Now, if you look on the right, kind of up in the... Oh, no, there's one halfway up the hill. Check out the okapi. They look like they're part zebra, but this is actually the only known relative to the giraffe. But back on the left, the greater kudu, they kind of look like deer. Well, these are the second tallest antelope here. When they're fully grown, they can look you in the eye. They usually kind of top out around 5 feet. And they'll get a lot bigger than that, too. Males are close to 800 pounds. But there is a watering hole up on the left, and they are gathering places for animals. Let's see if anybody else is stopping by. Oh, we found an animal we can stop for. 3,000-pound black rhino over on the left. And I do encourage a picture, guys. We're down to 5,000 in the whole world. This includes zoos and reserves. People want those horns for themselves, but just so you know, they're made of the same stuff our fingernails and hair are made of. That's it. Nothing especially rare or valuable at all. Well, since that's kind of it for the forest, let's head on over to the river. Over there we can check on the 5,000-pound hippopotamus. Now the way this river works, excuse me, the right side see first, then we'll cross at a shallow section, give the left side their turn. But if it's snack time, the best way to find a hippo is look where the food is. They're probably chowing down. And I think there's another one up ahead, a little more visible. He's sound asleep by these trees that are sticking out. You can kind of see the bubbles caused by his nose. Now there's only a couple on this side, but I think the rest of them are on the other side of this little island. That's why their backs sticking up. And on the island itself, ignore the vultures, but these are pink-backed pelican. They like to build their nest in the trees. There is another resident of the river up ahead, and you definitely want to stay seated here, guys, because you fall over, you're not getting out. That's a lot of Nile crocodile. And those jaws crush 2,000 pounds per square inch, so nothing really gets out of here. These guys can take out prey even bigger than themselves, and they get over 20 feet long. Well, before we head into the next ecosystem, over on the right here, I want to show you a tree that looks like it's upside down. This is a baobab tree. Kind of an iconic tree of the African savanna. The way they survive out here is they can actually store water in the trunk. It's like a spongy interior, and then they'll be able to make it through Africa's long dry spells. But welcome everyone to the savannah, or the Serengeti grasslands. It's home to giraffe, elephants, lions, they're all out here. But it pretty much just represents the Africa we're trying to preserve for them. So we'll work our way around and see how close they let us get. I think I spotted a giraffe, guys, way off in the distance on the right. See that grouping of palm trees? I think there's one or two kind of hiding in the shade. Oh yeah, it looks like everyone's hanging out over there.
Oh, I see the giraffe.
Well, just a little bit further up on the right, guys, I know they're a little hidden behind the trees, but we just found the largest antelope in the reserve. There's some Patterson eland up ahead. And there's actually a bunch of females, but a male eland is like 2,000 pounds, and they stand over 6 feet high, not including the horns. So they're one of the largest antelope in Africa. I wonder if something's going on with that truck up there. And it's a good sign that they're as close as they are. See, when we come out here, we do try to remember that to the animals anyway, this is their home. And they're not pets, so by not whistling and calling out to them, gets them kind of comfortable having the trucks around, which does kind of encourage them to get close. I think they're just slowly but surely getting used to having us out here. And a lot of times when we just stop out of the blue like this, typically it means there's an animal crossing the road up ahead. I mean, we want them to get close, but sometimes it backfires and they like to hang out in the middle of the road. Usually though, they get bored and get back on the move. Now, since we're kind of holding tight at the moment, if you just look over the landscape, you might start to see how it basically gets shaped by the animals that live here. For example, the downed trees. Usually elephants take care of those. They're so big when the herd comes through. They kind of act like bulldozers, knock some of them over. But it's not a problem. I mean, it allows the grass to spread out. Giraffe, they're so tall when they reach into the trees and eat the leaves, kind of opens the canopy up, lets the sunlight through. So basically, as long as it's balanced in the ecosystem, then everyone in it gets enough to eat.
Sit back, sit back.
Now, the really interesting thing about the spiral horns of the Patterson eland, well, as they age, they'll get more and more spiral. It's not going to give you an exact year or anything, but you can kind of ballpark it and try to figure out how old they are. Thinking of crossing? Maybe going to hang out with your friend? No, I think she's just chowing down. Now there's certainly more up ahead, guys, but all the termite mounds out here, when they harden in the sun, they're almost as strong as concrete. So these are pretty good scratching posts for the animals out here. They tend to kind of rub up against them just like they do to the trees. Now if you look at the one coming up on the left, you'll see they start off pretty substantial. But if the animals rub up against them, it kind of slowly and surely wears them down. Well, then the really small animals, Thompson's gazelle, impala, they climb up on top of them. Since they're so little, it's hard to get a good view, so they get up there, they can just see what's going on around them.
Sit back, sit back.
Alright, well, we'll definitely get closer to those giraffe, or that giraffe who's hiding in the trees. But if you look way over on the right towards the top of the hill, those little guys up near the tree, these are springbok. And I actually don't think they're up on the guide yet, but springbok get that name because when they're scared, they run off. But while they run, they spring repeatedly into the air. And those little guys can jump high. And we're talking like 10, 11 and a half feet. But over on the left, hiding in the shade of the trees, I think we just found some white-bearded wildebeest. Now, from what I can see so far, there's a couple of them. But when it's time to migrate, a lot more show up. Guys, we're talking close to 2 million. Makes them one of the largest migration of animals in the whole world. Oh, wow. Look how close that one giraffe is to the side of the road, guys. Yeah, we'll let that truck go, then we can stop. This is pretty much what they do all day. They eat. They have an 18-inch long tongue, and they'll just reach up into the trees and leaves come right off. Hi, buddy. Just chowing down like he pretty much always does. And this height is a huge advantage because it's kind of tough to sneak up on someone who gets to 20 feet tall. I mean, they're probably going to see you. They do have keen eyesight, so it's tough to take the giraffe by surprise. Now also over on the right, let's see if we can see these giraffe. You might see the huge horns on the Ankoli cattle. Yeah, there they are. Those horns, guys, we're talking 6 feet long and 20 inches around at the base. But the interesting thing about them is blood can actually flow right through them. They're semi-hollowed out. Now that's not the best thing if they get injured, but when it's hot, the wind blows across them and it actually cools them down. But I think we're about to enter elephant country. That's one way to stay cool. That's a 12,000-pound bull or male elephant. Now we're going to get on the other side of the brush here. Oh, and he's got some company, guys. Look on the left. See why we call it Monkey Point? Mandrills hang around. And they're the most colorful monkey in Africa. They have those beautiful red and blue faces like Rafiki. Trying to get you in between them here. Oh, okay, I guess we have to find a detour. This was the road we used to, oh yeah, that's really not an option at the moment. Well, let's see if, I'm sure they have a detour, some kind of shortcut up ahead. Let's see what's behind the trees. Oh, that's the shortcut. Well, you know what? If they can make it, so can we. We'll just slow it down. Be very careful crossing this thing. It's the bridge has definitely seen better days. Well, it doesn't sound that great, but so far so good. I think we'll be all right. We're almost there. Yeah, we made it. All right, let's see if hopefully we can find you more elephants. Oh, sorry to break quickly, guys. One zebra way over on the left. I guess everybody else is hiding out behind the trees. But I definitely think we're going to find more elephants. I mean, it smells like they've been through here. But if you look on both sides of the truck in the red clay, see the marks they leave from their tusk? They actually eat this. Gives them nutrients for their diet. I just hope they haven't gone too far. Oh no! They really haven't gone too far. And you see what they do to their skin? It's so sensitive they can actually end up sunburned. So they throw mud, dirt, sand, whatever they can find. They kind of coat themselves and use it like a natural sunscreen. And you know what, guys? As things start to open up a little here, let's see if we're in radio range. Well, we should be, but try to get some music going while we're out here. Yeah, it looks like she's kind of hanging back by the rocks, trying to stay more in the shade. Oh, but look! We've got a little guy with them. Based on that height, that's pretty young. I'd say 2, 3 years old at the most. Oh, but in addition to all the elephants, guys, we do find a lot of flamingo up ahead. And flamingo are basically pink because the brine shrimp, other things they eat, are high in keratin. And that's what builds up on them. It does take a while, but by about 2 years old, this is pretty much what you get.
Sit back, Angel. Sit back.
And believe it or not, guys, there is no unified scientific consensus on why they stand on one leg like that. I mean, there's a lot of theories. A lot of them have to do with temperature regulation, but nobody definitively knows why for certain. Well, I don't see any at the moment, but a lot of times the 5,000-pound white rhino, we usually catch them rolling around in the mud hole. But even if they moved on, we still might get a chance to see them. Their groups are usually a pretty decent size. And even when they move on, they'll usually leave like 1 or 2 kind of hanging around. Guys, I think we just figured out why the rhino aren't here. If you look on the left, go to the top of the hill. See where that palm tree's half fallen over? Well, look to the left of it. In the shade by the trees, there's some cheetah laying down. Come on, guys, flick your tail, do something. See, the tough thing with cheetah is they can hit 60, 70 miles an hour, but they'll overheat if they push it. So this is what they do. They rest, cool down, and they're free to go back out and try again. Just makes them a little tough to find at times. Oh, but speaking of big cats, guys, up ahead there's a rock formation. It's known as a kopie. And you definitely want to be on the lookout for lions. They tend to hang around them. They like getting up on that top rock and just kind of checking everything out. But it doesn't look like anyone's on this side, so I guess we'll have to kind of work our way around. Well, I know I'm supposed to be looking for lions, guys, but if you look over on the right, kind of sitting in the middle of everything, there's some Bontebok laying down. Well, here's another one. It's an interesting name, but Bontebok are actually a relative of the wildebeest that we got to see a little bit earlier. And they're pretty much gone from the wild. At first they got caught up in the bushmeat trade. People hunted them for their meat. But then they realized they like those little horns they have, so it didn't help matters much. Now you only find them in zoos and reserves, typically. And while I don't see a lion yet, I do find a scimitar horned oryx. You look at their horns, the way they curve, it just kind of resembles the curved Middle Eastern sword, the scimitar, the one Aladdin used, so that's just kind of how they got stuck with the name. And I don't know that they would be out here if there were lions up on the rock, but I'm still looking. I mean, you never know. You know what? Well, you know what, guys? This could kind of work to our advantage. The fact that there aren't any lions up there scaring away the other animals, mainly when the male lion roars, well, we might actually get to see some warthog. Because if they look up and see lions, it's one of their major predators, so they hide typically. Oh no, there he is. Pumbaa's sound asleep. He's on that little hill at the base of the tree. Kind of looks like a hairy rock. Oh, I think he might be waking up. Yeah, they typically go back down into the holes, and those little tusks, they are razor sharp. That's how they protect themselves. I think he might be on his own over here. Oh, there are ostrich eggs up on the left. There's the ostrich. I think they're bugging a research student. And when they're actually fertilized, the ostrich will sit on them all day. I mean, they do get up to go eat something, but they tend to not really go that far away from the eggs. I think there might be a male and female. And they might not actually fly, but this bird can run. I mean, we're talking close to 50 miles an hour. They're quick. And the male ostrich, they're the ones with the black feathers. Usually that means they sit on the eggs during the nighttime. They can just kind of blend in a little bit better. And it tends to keep him and the eggs a little bit more safe. But this area up ahead, guys, has definitely undergone some change. Right now it's kind of a work in progress. But what we hope to use this habitat for is to reintroduce animals into the ecosystem. Now that's the plan. But everything's on hold at the moment because we're working with an animal up ahead that we really can't reintroduce. There aren't enough left. These are addax. A-D-D-A-X. And I'm not kidding you guys, we're down to 300 in the whole wild. It's basically, they were almost wiped out for their horns. People like to collect them. Now there's good news and bad news. The good news is the remaining few are safe. There's actually more in captivity than in the wild. They're being looked after. But the bad news is it's too little too late. That population is unsustainable. So they're on that short list of animals most likely to go extinct in the near future. And they are a desert antelope, which means a little bit of water goes a long way. I mean, these guys can almost go indefinitely on hardly any. They draw moisture from the leaves and grass that they eat. But unfortunately, guys, that new little section back there kind of marks the end of the safari. Well, you are more than welcome to come back and see us again. I mean, hopefully the line's not too bad. But if you want to see other African animals, well, I recommend the Pangani Exploration Trail. Now, you do have to walk that one. But just to name a few, guys, I mean, you find western lowland gorillas, colobus monkeys, naked bull rats and meerkats. And the thing I really like about the trail is since you walk it, you can set the pace for yourself. No 5-second stops there. Just hang out, and you really can take as many pictures as you want. It takes about 15-20 minutes or so, but it depends on how fast you walk. And before we unload up ahead, just because it's so bumpy, well, you might want to double check the seat around you. We find a lot of cell phones, keys, stuff kind of comes up out of the pockets. Alright, but since we're going to be next, guys, here in Africa, rather than say goodbye, well, what we like to say is kwaherini. It's a little Swahili phrase that means go well. So kwaherini, everyone. Have fun, and if you can, hopefully the line's not too bad, come back and see us again. Oh.